Okay, so maybe you want to do a little more than just loop over this array of Justice League members. Maybe you want to know who the least efficient superheroes are. Maybe you want to filter it to just those who have caught less than 5 villains in the last month. So what you can do is rather than doing a for loop, you can use a built-in function where you say Justice League dot filter. What filter does is it accepts a function that returns true or false on whether or not you should keep the item. So for example, if we wrote a function here called less than 5 and let it take in an array, then we could say if array at the 3 position, this last one, if array at the 3 position is less than 5, then I'm going to say let return val equal false. If they have less than 5, then we're going to set the return value equal to true. Um, so we're automatically assuming they have more than 5. If we find out they have less than 5, then we're going to change that value to they have less than 5. And then we're going to return the return value. So now we have a function that takes in an array and finds out if the third position in that array is less than 5 and returns value accordingly. All right, well, let's test this. So I happen to know that Ray Palmer is in the 10th position of this array. So if I alert Justice League, sorry, if I alert less than 5 at in the Justice League at the 10 position, then I should get false because I should get true because he has caught less than 5 villains. If I copy this line to the next line and do it for position 0, which is Superman, Superman has caught 12 villains, then I should get false. So let's come over here to our running code and I get true for the first one and false for the second one. So that means that our function works. So what we want to do is we want to go Justice League.filter and then we want to pass in less than 5. So if we save this and we console.log our Justice League our filtered Justice League for less than 5, we get true, false. And if we inspect and look at our console, did I save that after I changed that to console log? We'll save that. True, false. And we can see on our console that we have our array, which is limited down to just those Justice League members who caught less than 5 villains this month, which is pretty cool. But I don't know about you. I'm not planning to use this very specific function anywhere else. This is a less than 5 function, and it takes in an array. And because of the way I've programmed it, it needs to be an array that's set up like one of the items in the Justice League list. So that's a lot of code for a function that I'm only going to use in one spot. Yes, it gets called multiple times, but I'm only using it in one spot. So let's see if we can simplify this function down. I'm going to say const less than 5 equals a function that takes in an array and it really returns true if this is less than 5 or false if it's greater than 5. So if we simplify that, we could say return and we could say array at the 3 position is less than 5. And if it is, then we want to return true. Otherwise, we want to return false. And that's one way to write it. Or we could simplify this down if all we're doing is we're returning the result of this. So if it's less than 5, then that returns true. This already evaluates down to true, so maybe we could just return that. We can just return array is less than 5. So that will say if the array at the 3 position is less than 5, return true. Well, anytime that you're just returning the result of an evaluation, you can put it on one line. So I could say const less than 5, and I'll delete this one. And I can set it equal to a function that takes in an array and returns if the array the 3 position is less than 5. So now I've broken that down onto one line. Well, if you're going to break it all the way down onto one line like that, then you can just write it directly in this filter, because we could create, remember, a function just needs parentheses, the arrow, and something it returns. So here in filter, we're going to do parentheses. We're going to take an array, going to use the arrow, and we're going to return array at the 3 position is less than 5. Now we don't need those anymore. So what we're saying is, in this filter, we want to take every item out of this Justice League array, and we want to run it through this function. What does this function do? Well, it takes in the array that we give it, looks at the 3 position in that array, and determines if it's less than 5. If it is, it keeps it in this Justice League array. If it's not, it removes it. And so if we save this and we come over, here we can see our code is still working. We'll even reload the page a couple times just to prove it. Our code is still working, and we've successfully filtered down to just those members of the Justice League that are not catching as many villains. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching.